Welcome to a 15-minute games quickie. For things that I don't want to make full episodes of or don't really have that much to comment on, I'll be making into a quickie episode. Today I'll be talking about the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo's latest console that was just released on Friday, March 3rd. The Switch combines a portable gaming machine and TV home console all into one little package. And when I say little, I mean freaking tiny, dude. I was lucky enough to get my hands on one of these things during the release, and my first impression was how tiny it actually is. I did not expect it to be that small. I guess in all the previews and whatnot, it was being used by people with micro hands or something. I have no idea. It really blew me away how tiny it is. But don't let the size fool you, it's a nifty little device. I wouldn't classify myself personally as a Nintendo fanboy at all. Maybe an old school fanboy, as I own an extensive NES and Super Nintendo library, but my interest in all things Nintendo is basically null after the GameCube, which was alright. Not great, but alright. I have used this thing a lot over the past couple days, and just thought I would share my experience. Needless to say, I like it. It's a unique package. You can play it on a TV, on a tabletop, or just in your hands. The Joy-Con controllers feel surprisingly okay. Yes, they are small, but you get used to it. It's really not that bad. While the Joy-Con grip that comes with the system is not the charging one, which is kinda disappointing, and it basically has no electronic anything in it whatsoever, it's just a frame to hold the Joy-Cons. I mean, shit, the lights are just mirrors for the lights on the Joy-Cons. But in the grip is my suggested way to use them. It actually feels pretty good and can fit well into the hands. I will 100% agree that using one Joy-Con horizontal and giving the other one to player 2 is absolute trash garbage. I do not recommend this. It is not the optimal way to play, to say the least. It is really uncomfortable. And there's also the Joy-Con connection issue thing, where the left Joy-Con will randomly disconnect or won't register inputs correctly. I personally did not experience this, but a lot of people did. Even after the update, it still seems to be an issue. If I was Nintendo, I would correct this ASAP. I also was able to get my hands on a Pro controller, and boy, this is what you should be using. It's about the size of an Xbox One controller and has nice, big, beautiful face buttons. And best of all, a D-pad. I know I'm getting all excited about a D-pad, but it has one. If you are uncomfortable with using the Joy-Cons or concerned about the size in any way, just go straight for the Pro controller. The kickstand feels very flimsy. It just does. There's really nothing more I can say about it. It feels flimsy and I feel like I'm going to snap it off at any point. I hope in the next model, or an update later on, they manage to fix the flimsy kickstand and maybe introduce something better, maybe like 2 of them, or just a stronger one. It does, however, reveal the micro SD card slot underneath. Which reminds me, the storage on this thing is pathetic. It really is. It only has 32 gigabytes total and 25.9 gigabytes of useful storage, with the rest going for the operating system. When the PlayStation and Xbox are pushing 2 terabytes already, 32 gigs is a joke. An SD card is basically mandatory. And that's pretty much it hardware-wise. Software-wise, the OS is great. It's definitely the best OS Nintendo has put out thus far. Everything is nice and fast, snapping back and forth is easy, and the settings menu doesn't have to load for 10 years or anything like that. It's great. However, there is no internet browser. Well, there is kind of, but you have to do some weird voodoo to get it to open a web page by going to your Nintendo account and opening it up through Google. I don't know. A standard web browser would be very nice. Also, it doesn't appear that you can transfer save data. I figured that would be there at launch, but I guess not. That should definitely be fixed with updates though, and it's kind of a basic feature. It's kind of a wonder why Nintendo didn't include it in the first place. Lastly, and most importantly, besides Zelda, which we'll talk about later, hint, hint, the launch lineup is absolute garbage. It really is. There's nothing worth getting for the console except Zelda. I will say now, ahead of my video, Zelda is fantastic already if you haven't figured that out. If you buy the Switch, you basically get it for Zelda and Zelda alone. I know it seems like I've been rambling on about everything wrong with the Switch, but I really do like it. I feel like most of the stuff that I mentioned can be fixed with updates and features down the line. Honestly, I think this thing is going to be great. It's going to be huge, but right now, it's nowhere near that. While the initial sales numbers were quite impressive, the reason you buy this thing nowadays is just to play Zelda. There's really nothing else. I can't wait to see what becomes of the Switch in a year's time. We're supposed to be getting some great games, and there's rumors of heavy third-party support. But first, let's hope it all pans out. Because right now, the only reason to get one is because you've really wanted one since launch, and you have some money to burn. Otherwise, there's really no reason not to wait 6 months. And that's it for me. That's my thoughts on Nintendo's latest console. If you agree or disagree or just want to talk about it, please post in the comments below. I'll try to answer as much as I can and try to get to everybody. But please hit the like and subscribe buttons, and this has been a 15 Minute Games Quickie, and I will see you next time.